And we're live from the streets of Austin, Texas. Welcome to the streets of ATX, everyone, where I cover driving in Austin, Texas. All things on the road and whatever crazy things that y'all be doing on the streets here. This will be my first episode. I'm just gonna really just cover random things. First time, just gonna do an audio only, really focused, kind of like podcast style episode here. A little bit about myself. I've been here 3 years. I'm not from here. I've never seen people drive like this down here in the South. But that being said, I do love this city. I do love driving in general. I guess you kind of have to love being on the road if you're going to film and drive some of the craziest streets you could ever be on, right? Um, I will say it the landscape of the roads of Austin and the freeways here, everything here is absolutely fast, okay? And that's why it's dangerous, and that's what I want to really get into. And there's been some new developments in a pretty widely publicized crash that happened on I-35 about a month ago. And the driver was driving third party for Amazon and crushed about 18 cars, 18 car pileup. We're 18 vehicles were affected by this wreck, and it's a shame. People lost their lives, but it's also not too uncommon to see these wrecks here in this city. So I think people need to spend time, extra time, planning their route and avoiding I-35. I don't personally drive 35 anymore. If you want to arrive alive, do not take I-35. Mopac is a better option. Even taking the toll roads are a better option. I mean, it's just not worth it, y'all. Like, just be late to work, um, be late to your function, be late to your appointment. It's just gonna happen. And I've personally been in fender benders and things of that nature on 35 that I'm not going to go too into detail, at least not right now, right? But yeah, I've been involved and been in this city now 3 years, and driving here is just absolutely insane. I mean, y'all are insane. But the reason I-35 is so dangerous, right? It's a major route. It is a major route that if you're going from San Antonio to Dallas, you're coming through Austin on 35, and vice versa from north to south, right? So if you're a semi truck, logistics, you're moving goods, there's just so many passerbys, so many people coming through here that aren't even, their destination isn't Austin, Texas. So they're just coming through, and it being a major route for trucks, those are dangerous vehicles in themselves. And 35 in Austin, there's a particular stretch. And I think I read a study, an article about since 2022 to today, there's been 14 fatalities along the stretch in North Austin, and it's about Tech Ridge, from around Tech Ridge to Grand Avenue, Round Rock area. That stretch is absolutely crazy right now, and none of you listening should take I-35. If you care about your car, if you care about your well-being, just don't do it. I'm gonna repeat myself saying it throughout. My page here and my content. The whole reason I'm really doing this page and project is because I want to raise awareness about driving here in Austin. It's very dangerous. You should always have your GPS, always have a backup route, and always think about avoiding I-35. If you happen to get on I-35, just get off, at the next exit. And something to note too, I didn't think I'd have to teach people how to drive, but I think I need to at least help and attempt to. The roads here are very fast. The lanes end quickly, and it's really easy, especially being here 3 years. I can tell who's lost. You can always tell who's lost on these streets because the lanes end just abruptly with very little signage or coverage of telling you where you need to be. And I do ask that everyone just be extra patient. I have learned that it's not really worth getting angry at people. I've made mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. You're better off giving people the benefit of the doubt when you can. I'm not saying drive passively, because driving passively actually is more dangerous, like merging onto the freeway, not at speed, for example. Um, but yeah, just be more courteous of others on the road. Like let people through, let people over. Like it, I can never tell people that live in Houston that, of course, because Houston is even worse than Austin. Um, just absolutely crazy the way people drive here. So people are very aggressive, and it's very much a get out of my way mentality. And you just always want to have like a backup route. There's just way too much aggression. But I do love driving here, despite all of it. The quality of the roads are great. Okay, where I'm from, the road quality was nothing like this, and the speed limits here on SH 130 toll go up to 85. Only one other place in the country, at least that I've read, that goes up to 85 speed limit, and that's one of the Dakotas. So here in Austin, you can go 85. But is everyone going 85? Do you think they're going 85? No. Their average speed is about 90, 92 on that freeway, if I had to guess. Okay. But it's arguably safer than taking 35 because the lanes get so skinny. They're undergoing this project of expanding this freeway. 35 is just such a main route to go through the heart of Central Texas, and it's best to just avoid it in the stretch of Austin. If you could altogether, in my opinion. And there's ways to do that. I can show you how. I'm going to teach others how. And I want people to be safer on these roads. I want people to be safer in Texas. I want people to drive smart and safe and efficiently so that we can all, you know, be safe on the road with one another and get to where we need to be. And it's been a hell of a ride. I've been in some fender benders myself. I mean, I've been here 3 years. I knew going into it that it's going to be, a very populated area with a lot of fast roads. This is probably how it was going to be, and I was right. But despite of all that, there's great views here. I mean, just the landscape changing from Capital 360, over to Bee Cave and the start of Hill Country out towards Lakeway. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous, and I appreciate it. Every time I drive here, it's humbling. When you first, if you relocate here, it's a humbling experience. At least it was for me, right? Um, but yeah, you don't want to take I-35. I'm gonna say it again. Don't take 35. Take Mopac. Mopac has a paid single toll lane and then 3 lanes on the right-hand side. The paid single toll lane, I'm not a huge fan of because it can get bottlenecked, and I've seen these like, accordion quick stop style crashes that have happened. So there's not really an escape, if you will. There's like kind of these rubbery bumper sticks that they line up across the lane. So it's interesting because when wrecks happen, the police will direct you to drive through them, even though it's a $500 fine otherwise. But if there's a wreck, you're driving through them. So uh, Mopac is just better though. You're not going to see folks with ladders, coolers, construction equipment, and just random garbage flying out the back of someone's vehicle on Mopac. You see that much more, 10 times more on I-35. No one's tying down their stuff. And like I said, the lanes get real skinny from this construction that's happening, and there's too many aggressive people. It's this recipe for death and destruction on I-35. And to loop back to what I briefly touched on at the start of this cast here, um, there the driver who was driving the third party Amazon truck that had the crash, it was just revealed that he was not under any substances, alcohol or drugs in his toxicology report. I've been following this story for some time now, and I think it's really shedding light on the issue, and really it's the freeway itself. The stretch that it happened is arguably the most dangerous spot. It's like this kind of breakneck. If you aren't looking forward with two hands on the wheel, the lanes will like break as in like a 35 to 45-degree angle it feels like at times, and it's a hard shift. And if everyone isn't paying attention, the lanes are going to shift and there'll be a cascade of collisions. And I'm not sure if that's what happened here, right? I don't know if this driver fell asleep. I saw footage and pictures of him getting interviewed. He was late to getting out of his semi. He kind of just sat up there weirdly at the front, down a ways, and didn't get out until the police like were shouting and trying to get him out of the truck. And he didn't seem to be in shock. I don't think he spoke English very well. I did see that he was wearing like a gym shirt and flip-flops. He was driving a semi truck in flip-flops going down I-35. And the result of that was, I think five people lost their lives that night. And I was driving that night. I was driving, and I intentionally avoided one of my routes to go north from downtown. I avoided 35, so I would have drove right by it that night. And I was around when I heard, sirens and saw the breaking news of the crash. So I-35 is just very dangerous, and it's time and time again it's proving to be something that you know it goes to show that you can't always develop a road and still allow traffic to go over at the same time. I mean, it's very common to see cities and construction workers doing this with the plans, and they'll, in some spots I think it is doable, and it's fine, but just not here, at least not in the stretch. They didn't prepare it very well, in my opinion. I think it's absolutely dangerous, just terrible. And like I was saying, the you get very little warning about things, so you'll be asked to merge, and there won't be very much of an entrance ramp. When I first moved here, a couple of years ago, the construction project had not begun, so it was easier. The entrance ramps were like so elongated that you had so much time to merge and see the traffic coming as someone getting on, and as someone driving the freeway you could see the traffic entering the freeway, so you had time to get over for them. But today, at this very moment, on this day in the month of April of 2025, it's atrocious, is treacherous, and everyone should avoid it. In later videos of mine, you'll see me, I'll be doing drive-throughs, not walkthroughs, drive-throughs of just routes and just tips and tricks on how to drive here and where to be, what lanes to be in, the secret sauce to driving here. Because let's be honest, it is difficult to drive in Austin, and like I've been saying in the theme of this, very, you know, most of the drivers here are very aggressive. So you have to watch out. You literally will get ran off the road at times. And I don't want that. I don't want that for you. I don't want people to be obstructing others on the roadway. And I've just seen some crazy things, and it's exciting and dangerous every time you drive here. And I don't think regular folks understand that aren't always driving. I mean, like you got Uber drivers, truck drivers, people visiting from out of town. Austin's an international business recognized city. So you have a lot of conferences here. We have ACL twice a year, and we also have South by Southwest. And it gets absolutely crazy, the influx of people that come into a city that already is steadily maintaining about 975,000 people um, on the reg. So, but I'm gonna wrap this up here. Y'all will continue to see content from me just driving around to the city. Um, Austin's a great place. Be careful. Stay diligent on the road and keep your head on a swivel, and be careful out there. And I'll see you out on the streets of ATX.